Morning Punch Bowl wrote this, quote, "Let's be blunt here. Democrats picked a fight they couldn't win and caved without getting anything in return. And there's a reason Republicans put Democrats in this position, because they know Democrats would eventually cave, and they did. Here's the lesson from this episode. When you have no cards, fold them early." Was this just a big strategic mistake?
I disagree with that profoundly. We had all the cards in the world. The cards are you don't vote to advance the CR. And Chuck Schumer folded. We need fighters. We don't need folders. And Chuck Schumer is a folder. That's not the leadership that the Democratic Party is demanding right now. The Democratic Party across the board, as you said, activists, elected officials, rank and file Democrats want somebody to stand up and say, this is not something we're going to be part of. We are not going to give an inch to Donald Trump. We're not going to own any part of this disastrous agenda. And Chuck Schumer just allowed Donald Trump, if this goes through, to impose tariffs without consulting Congress, so that every time you pay more for toys, you pay more for guacamole from Mexico, you pay more for cars, Democrats will own that now because they gave Donald Trump the authority to be able to do that. That's not the party that I think I want to belong to, and that's not the party that Democratic voters across the board want to belong to. We need fighters. If Chuck Schumer will not fight, he needs to get out of the way and put somebody else in charge who will fight.
Wow. Okay. Bernie Sanders certainly wasn't happy last night. He was also on this network literally right after Chris talked to Chuck Schumer. Listen to what he said.
If you do nothing, you sit back and you say it is going to be terrible. And that's right. A shutdown will be terrible. But our job is to put the onus on the Republican president, the Republican House, the Republican Senate, the people who control the government. They are responsible. They've acted in an undemocratic, unprecedented, unilateral way. They've given us an offer, take it or leave it. That ain't the way democracy works.
Elise, even if you can't win, is there value in fighting?
I think that tactically, this is a tough battle for Democrats to lose on, and to have the government shut down and the economy already in the dire straits that
So
Trump
you
has
think
caused.
a shutdown would potentially be worse?
I think it's just a poison pill. I don't see what good choices they really have right now, because they're going to look.
But you have to make a choice.
The economy is going to get worse if the
choice.
government shuts down. One thing that Donald Trump excels, I would say, maybe his number one skill, passing blame. And I don't know that I think Democrats are capable right now of actually blaming Republicans where blame will be due if this bill goes through.
But I'm sorry, let me just say something about that. Democrats are not in charge of anything. It is the Republican economy. They control literally the federal courts. They control the executive branch. They control the legislative branch. All of this is on them, and you see that at town halls where voters are showing up screaming at Republican members because they know whose fault it is. There's a Quinnipiac poll out yesterday that says the vast majority of voters would blame either Trump or a Republican Congress for a shutdown. Democrats, only 32% would be blamed. So the point is that Democrats had the Republicans where they wanted them. And if they
and 32% is probably pretty much Donald Trump's hardcore
right.
base,
And
right?
if they knew how to communicate, which, by the way, is something else the Democratic leadership is awful at, they would put the blame squarely where it belongs, which is on the Republicans. And yet, instead of doing that, they are handmaidens to the Republicans if this CR continues to go through and gets to the president's desk. I just don't understand for the life of me why Democrats would do this kind of assist for a Republican Party that wouldn't even allow them to come to the table to negotiate any of this. They handed them this you-know-what sandwich and said, either pass it or don't pass it. You have no other say about it. It's infuriating.
You know most of these folks, Michael. You worked alongside them. So we've all got this sheet. It says there are two definitely yeses. We knew about John Fetterman. Chuck Schumer was the surprise last night. Then there are 11. So 6 more would have to decide to vote yes. Do you see 6 names here?
I don't. I see 4 possibly. So you should assume, for instance, that the leadership team votes with Mr. Schumer. But I think, for instance, Senator Schatz probably votes against it. I think Jackie Rosen probably votes against it. Gary Peters could go either way. Let's say
he's retiring, so.
Yeah, so, right. So Jeanine Shaheen, again, probably votes against it. And so I think they're close, but I don't see 6 votes on this sheet.
Then what?
Republicans control Washington. If you go to any random city in any random state in America and ask a random person who runs D.C., they'll say Donald Trump. There's no reality that says Democrats will hold the bag if the government shuts down. That's just not based on any poll that you've seen, and just based on the reality of the way that Trump has sold his victory in November. which is he controls the whole thing. And so for Democrats, let's be smart. To your point, we had no way in terms of what this bill was going to look like or anything in it. So why would you support it? It makes absolutely no sense.
At least Tommy Tuberville said exactly the opposite. Let me play that.
If they shut it down, it's their fault. The ball's in their court. Let them do it. But at the end of the day, they don't have enough guts to do it.
Well, we aren't going to talk about guts. We'll see. But what about the blame game?
I still think that it's going to come down on the Democrats, and I just don't see a way out of that, given the Republican messaging apparatus. I think you nailed it when you said that Democrats just are not communicating well these days, and that's part of the post-election confusion that they have to get together. They lost an election because they didn't have a coherent message, and right now, what is their message?
And listen to the message from Donald Trump. He praised Chuck Schumer today, writing, "Congratulations to Chuck Schumer for doing the right thing. Took guts and courage." Trump called it a really good and smart move and then said, "This could lead to something big for the USA, a whole new direction and beginning." All right, I'm going to ask both of you briefly. I mean, seriously, the last thing I think you want, maybe as a Democrat, is for Donald Trump to praise you. What does this mean for Chuck Schumer?
It's not good. I mean, look, the reality is that he has a caucus that wants to fight. You have a number of talented younger members like Murphy and others who really want to lead the party going forward. And so he has to show that, notwithstanding being in his mid-70s, he can lead the party in the Senate. What he's done this week has not shown that. In fact, he's done the opposite.
Julie, you kind of indicated you think he could be in trouble.
Chris, I'm an establishment Democrat. I am not a flamethrower. I've been coming on your show for probably 20 years on and off. If you ever see me this furious about anything, and this is not about ideology anymore. It is about knowing how to fight. It is about taking it to Donald Trump in ways that resonate with the American people. We had them on the ropes. And what does Chuck Schumer do? He throws him a lifeline. For the life of me, I don't understand the strategy here. It is not Chuck Schumer's job, Mr. Leader, to govern. It is your job to obstruct, because the people governing right now are not the Democrats. So for the life of me, stop pretending that you have a say in any of this and start standing up for the American people, because right now, throwing him a lifeline is doing the exact opposite. You are complicit, Mr. Leader, and you've got to stop acting that way.
Can we also point out the obvious? If these roles were switched, there's a 0% chance Republicans would give us the vote to get this done. 0% chance. If they worked with us to do it, they still wouldn't vote for it. So why would we do that? This is the problem with Democrats. We're the responsible adult, and that's the problem.
And they're pouncing on the weakness.
Absolutely.
Exactly right.
Michael Hardaway and Julie Urginski. But what do you really think? No, thank you both. Seriously.